train simulator. And isn't that a lovely sound? So we're in the MARC GP40WH-2 again. This is the exact same as last time, except this time, instead of at the back of the train in the cab car, we're in the engine, which means this time we get to hear the awesome engine sounds. I love these GP sound effects included with Train Simulator. It's very awesome. So we're going to be going from Washington, D.C. Union Station, which is where we are now, up to Perryville, Maryland, making all stops except West Baltimore and Halethorpe. It's just after 6 a.m. The sun hasn't risen yet, and actually I was quite scared starting this out because the PRR Eastern Region route has many instability issues when it's dark out, but I was able to make it work this once before dawn. If I tried to make it work at dusk, most likely eventually at some point the game would break down. So departure's at 8:10. Okay, it's about 8:08, so we're going to prepare for departure. I've since set the braking up to maximum for holding in here at Union Station. This is at first a commuter outbound, as in against the flow train, and then as we get closer to Baltimore, then we become inbound with rush hour, and then at Baltimore, then we become anti-rush hour. Trying to get used to the software that I'm using, so hopefully my voice sounds okay this time. I tried to put it out of the region where you could get my air into the microphone. Okay, so reversers forward and the lights are on dim. We're also going to bring the brake close to release. Like all videos from Train Simulator, Microsoft Train Simulator that is, I have recorded this and then voiced it over, but my idea is to make it as authentic as possible so it appears to be real time. This is of course because Bandicam for some reason doesn't want to record Minecraft Train Simulator. Okay, nobody's getting on the train, so we're going to go ahead and shut the doors. It is 6:10 departure time. I love that compressor recharge. Alright, headlights on full, bell on, and we'll pull out of the station. Like all trains going in and out of Washington Union Station, we'll be going out very slowly. Our initial speed limit is 15 miles an hour. bit to the east of where MARC Penn Line trains typically depart from. They'll usually depart anywhere from track 17 all the way down to about track 12. We're at pretty much track 22. That's where the Acellas typically depart from. The Acela that I drove 3 episodes ago north to Wilmington departed from this track. I'm now slowly making my way up to the speed limit. So the sun will be coming up from that direction. It's not up yet. Then any minute now, speed limit's changing to 20. By any minute, I mean now. And as we start going faster and faster, it will become apparent that we're in the cab. You'll start hearing the diesel engine RPM going up. Blowing horn for the New York Avenue underpass. That's a pretty loud horn too. Alright, and once under the bridge we'll be able to go 45. I've improved my techniques yet again from the last video, slowly learning. In addition to hopefully the audio being better, I also cut out the transitions that shouldn't occur based on when I save the game. So, all being well, the transitions should be completely seamless other than what you just saw there. And at this bridge, once we clear this next corner, speed limit will go up to 85. We're due at New Carrollton at 0621. Coming out of Washington Union Station have the priority. That's why it's only 11 minutes to get out of the station, but if Union Station is the last station, they allow 21 minutes in the schedule. now the speed limit is 110, which is so high it's a no care. And it'll be this way pretty much all the way to West Baltimore. There is nothing quite like the sound of a big diesel 4,000 horsepower engine at notch 8. Okay, on the flyover up on the right is the Washington Metro Orange line. As we run the horn for Landover interlocking, we're coming in with the CSX Landover sub, and we're going to start slowing down for New Carrollton. Attempt to use the dynamics here. Unfortunately, they don't work so well when you're at such a high speed. It's better in electric trains. Electric trains, the force is generally proportional to how fast you're traveling. Until you get to about 250 kilometers per hour. Or 155 miles per hour. At that point, you're going so fast that just notching off the throttle will have a braking effect because of the wind resistance. And we're going to dim the headlights like we do for all passenger stations. I did a nicer job here braking. The other stations didn't turn out as well, unfortunately. And judging by the time, I would say we're right on time. Departure is at 06:21, and it takes about a minute to load at New Carrollton. So we are just about smack right on time. Okay, just about time to depart now. Nobody's boarding. Good. We'll be on our way. Once we clear the platform, we'll go ahead and advance the headlight up to bright. And next station is Seabrook at 06:25. Now, if you remember my last video, New Carrollton and Seabrook are extremely close together. You can actually see it right now on the heads-up display. It's just about a mile out right now. And we might reach 50 miles an hour before it start having to slow down again. Okay, so we just received a limited clear, which limits me to 45 miles an hour, so I'm notching off until we clear the interlocking. At that point, we'll be cleared back up to, I think it's 110, but it's way beyond whatever the GP40WH-2 can do. thinking next episode we should do a train with all 125 mile an hour equipment. So that would be an AEM7 or a MARC HHP8 with all Kawasaki cars. Alright, dimming the headlights for Seabrook. And we're coming in quite hot. Luckily, this train has abnormally energetic braking. Wonder if it sounds like that in real life. And we're about 30 seconds early. It takes about 30 seconds, 40 seconds to load. This would not be considered a good stop. You see, we still have part of the engine on and missing the last 3 cars. Then again, the station is quite unrealistic in design. I suppose if we wanted to, we could get the mod for the realistic Seabrook and Bowie State and West Baltimore stations. However, since the rest of the route is themed for 1950, they'd probably look pretty out of place, despite the fact that we're trying to run a modern-day rail service. Next stop is Bowie State at 0630. And so pretty much the entire trip, and yeah, it's the entire trip except for the area around Penn Station, because we're not even stopping at Halethorpe and West Baltimore, which are close together. Pretty much the whole trip is speed up as fast as the train can go, jam the throttle in notch 8, wait until you get close enough that you're in braking distance of the station, and put the brakes on and slow to stop at the station again. And then the process just repeats and repeats. Enjoy driving these commuter trains, especially the MARC. When you're driving it southbound, you have this sort of silent cab, which all you hear are the controls that you move, and it's silent. You're pushed by a ghost engine in the back. And then the flip side, going northbound, you have an engine which in idle is, okay, we're starting to come up to Bowie State now pretty quickly. I'm gonna have to hit the brakes pretty darn hard right now. There's a very stark difference. You can hear when the engine is idling that it's very powerful, but it's quiet. And then when you start accelerating, you notch the throttle higher and higher and higher, and then you get to the top and it's roaring loudly. So awesome. That's one of the things that I love about diesels. But I love electrics too, because when you have the electrics, you have the spool ups. If I do some Acela videos where I actually get up into the 135 mile an hour range around New Brunswick, you could really hear it. Wow. We're about 15 seconds late. Yeah, we're about 15 seconds late, and that's not even considering the fact that the real station is up where the reach of our headlights is. So we would have been late for that in real life. I've seen this train before, this very service. It's headed by an MP36, which, as I recall, can do 103 miles an hour. So it has about 2 decades of speed gain on us that we can't achieve. Then again, GP40s aren't used on MARC anymore. Anyhow, yeah, that's Bowie State University over there. And if I can get a Acela up to the 135 mile an hour range, or we could flip over to the new modern train simulator. Hopefully that will work. Might put a few videos out there. The Class 395 Javelin, and the Acela, and several species of ice trains, as well as the TGV. You can really hear it when they spool up, and I love it because you hear a roaring diesel train, but in the case of an electric train, you get something along the lines of, and it's just so awesome. The whole time it's like in a chord, so it sounds even more awesome than just some dude doing what I did. There's a Patuxent River. So believe it or not, I just now realized that this, we're now riding on the second take. The game crashed right about here, but my system worked. I was able to recover the video and the save, and you can't tell anything happened. go into the big Patuxent to make just the Patuxent, which is now super large, and then it flows down through Bowie, and then 20 miles later will turn tidal and flow into the Chesapeake Bay 50 miles later. Okay, we're coming into South Odenton now, and once again I'm going to try this with maximum dynamic braking. We'll see how far we get before we have to put the brakes on. The dynamics just aren't effective on a diesel engine when you're at such a high speed. If you look at the amperage starting to build, once you get below 55 miles an hour, then they really start to take effect. The dynamics are better for long distance, like if there's a big hill, like say we're pulling a freight train over Allegheny Mountain. That's where you would want the dynamics. You're coming down into Horseshoe Curve. You want to keep that speed down. Well, that was not bad. We did have to use a little bit of air brakes, but that's okay. Odenton does not have that pedestrian overpass that we just passed under. Okay. We were about 90 seconds early then. I just skipped exactly 1 minute, and we're pretty much ready for departure now. Going to make this one an exterior departure. And yes, I can see nobody's getting the train. I like how the shakiness of the headlights are modeled well. Did a nice job on the paint scheme. That's pretty much spot on. Same thing with the Nippon Sharyo cars. Looks very realistic. Next station is BWI Airport at 0645. I'm the only YouTuber that still does South Corridor train operations. Everything else that I've been seeing has gone to the new train simulator and focusing around Philadelphia to New York or New York to New Haven. And anybody that uses the PRR-Beta is typically around the PRR Old Main Line, which runs from Harrisburg to Philadelphia. You'll get to see that on Sea to Summit when I finally do it. much fun leaving the train in notch 8. Although it would probably get very irritating in real life because the engineer would constantly have to hit the alerter due to not moving any controls. Because your job in this train is to try and make it go as fast as you can. Okay, there on the track monitor about 2 miles up ahead is BWI, so we're going to start trying to slow down for it. And I say trying to because once again I'm committed to using the dynamic brakes. If maybe I didn't wait such a long time, if I just gone straight from B1 to B7, I probably would have been all right. Because this is it's like the reverse of scramjets. If you remember my scramjet videos like years back, scramjets get more powerful the faster you go. And the dynamics in a diesel train, they get more powerful the slower you go. So it's kind of like the reverse effect. You can see we're still building. We're at 600 amps now, still building. And that's where we've reached maximum cutoff, right there at 20 miles an hour. And then we start to lose power as we get down to 4 miles an hour. Okay, we're about 2 minutes early. It takes about a minute to load at BWI, so we'll be sitting around doing nothing for a minute. Not bad. Not like last time we were waiting 4 or 5 minutes. We're keeping right on schedule. That's clear when I'm changing videos is the fact that when I press F12 it also causes the driver aids to disappear. So sometime I'll research a new key that doesn't interfere. And then it'll be 100% smooth. Just resetting my views here after the crash to where I like them. Okay, next station is Baltimore Penn Station at 0702. We're skipping Halethorpe and West Baltimore. Now, despite the fact that we're going such a long distance, it's not going to be the speed run that you think it is. Because when we start coming into Baltimore, the speed limits will start dropping. And they drop fast. So the speed limit on this train, on this track, will maintain 110 up to milepost 100. So we do have about 6 miles before the first slowdown. Alright, so this road here is Maryland 295. And if this were the modern day, up on the embankment to our right would be Interstate 195 coming out of BWI Airport. And then right about here on this curve would be an underpass for I-195 to fly over from the right to the left. Patapsco River, and we just went underneath Interstate 95. The Patapsco River will flow down to tidal levels in about 5 miles off to the right, and then it will flow into Baltimore Harbor, and then eventually out as the Patapsco River into the Chesapeake Bay about 10 miles later. Now normally we would have to be slowing down for Halethorpe. Not this time. We're coming into Baltimore now, and here comes some slower speed limits to troll us. By milepost 100, we'll have to be doing 75, so I'm gonna prepare for that. That was US 1 that we just passed under. Okay, so I'm going to ignore that signal in the track monitor because in real life you can't see the track monitor, so I can't see that signal. I don't have a cab display. Okay, so despite the fact that this is 75 speed limit, trust me when I say it's okay. In real life, that curve is not that intense. If this were real life, and the curve were that intense, then we would have derailed. Okay, up ahead on the signal gantry right there, I just saw it. It's approach limited, which means I'm now going to start slowing down to 45 miles per hour. But it's okay anyway, because I would want to slow down to that anyway, because the curve before it is 50 miles an hour, and the curve after it is 40 miles an hour. Therefore, it kind of makes sense to be doing 45. Skipping West Baltimore. Okay, so this is a 50. Alright, and we are receiving a limited clear, so that says proceed at limited speed until the rear of the train is clear of the interlocking. But not so fast. The maximum authorized speed is going to 40 miles per hour starting at this curve. So yeah, I let the speed creep down to 40. Let this decay down to 30 because we're coming up to the B&P tunnel. Tunnel is so cramped that if you throttled up to notch 8, you'd probably make the entire tunnel unbreathable. Which is probably why the speed limit is 30, because it only takes notch 1 to hold the speed limit at most. coming into Baltimore Penn Station on track 4, so we'll be maintaining 30 until we get into the platform. Station is a big station, so it takes generally about 3 minutes to load. Departure time is 7:02, so we're going to be holding over for probably about 3 minutes, which is a good amount too. I think MARC purposely likes to rest their trains at Penn Station for a little bit before they move on to the second half of the route. Just as an FYI, we're pretty much halfway. Despite the fact that we've stopped at most of our stations, the line gets more rural and the stations start spreading out. Alright, we're coming into Baltimore Penn with a clear signal now. Okay, and now that clear signal has changed to... You know what? I don't know what that signal is. I've never seen a yellow flasher before. It's always been on the bottom. According to the internet, that is an advanced approach. Sitting here 7 minutes, probably 3 of which is the loading. Oh, look at the bottom of that sign. Mind the gap. That was funny. Bugs me, and I want to know what an advanced approach is now. Proceed prepared to stop at the second signal. Trains exceeding limited speed must begin reduction to limited speed as soon as the engine passes the advanced approach signal. That doesn't really affect me in this case, because the speed limit's only 15. I'm at restricting speed. Limited is 45. Okay, it is departure time. You can note that the switch is now set to route us back onto the northbound track, and the speed limit here is now reduced to 15 until we reach the tunnel portal. This time I remembered to put the headlights back up to bright before entering the tunnel. Next station is MARC State Airport at 7:14. But according to my schedule, I'm allowed to leave 5 minutes early if I want, which I think I'll do. this is a 50, so I'm going to quickly brake for this one. You know, I don't remember that flashing happening in the simulator. I wonder if that's an after effect. I'm going to need to look into that. Still clear signal. And we're coming up to bay interlocking. At that point, the speed limit will be 100, which is too high to care, and the speed limit will remain too high to care until Perryville. But we're stopping at Perryville, which means we wouldn't be doing that high anyway. Which means, really, we can drive the train as fast as we want as long as we stop at every station. That's it. Those are the two rules governing the train right now. Oh yeah, and I forgot, obeying signals. Those three rules, and that's it. So now we are clear for N8. Funny way to refer to the speed limit. What's the speed limit? It is your foot all the way on the gas pedal. That's what the speed limit is. So I'm actually slowing down. If you saw that previous signal bridge that we went under, that would have been an approach limited because of the way Train Simulator works. I have to set the signals at river interlocking to move the train over to the number 4 track. So you'll notice I'm doing limited speed right now, and I'll preview this real quick. If you look at the signal up ahead, there you go, it's limited clear. But I can't set it to that yet. You'll see it jump back to clear because I need to take the right switch, not the left switch. And I don't have the capability to set that switch like I do in other train simulators. I have to wait until I'm upon it, then I can move. So at this point now, I'm moving that switch, and we'll be taking it. Unfortunately, that's the way that it works in Train Simulator when you're not using, you know, good old scenarios. So we're going to hold 45 until now, which is when we're clear of the interlocking. And now we are clear for N8. Attention to the fact that we just went from N3 to N4 and the engine RPM just went down. should be going up. That's a first glitch, first significant sound glitch in the engines. Now look at what happened. Nothing happens between N2 and N3. And then N4 sounds like N4. Okay, that's good. So everything's fixed, right? Watch what happens when I try and go to N5. Okay, good. Next. Let's see what happens when we go to N6. Good. Now try N7. What the heck? It went into N4 and now it sounds like N6 again. So at this point, if this were real life, and on our way to idle, so it went notch 4, notch 8, notch 6, idle. Okay. So if this were real life, we would now be taking the train into the maintenance tracks, and now I'm completely distracted. It's okay, this train has turbo brakes. I actually went to suppression there. And if I had the sander, I could stop even faster. I will make your coffees fly off the table. Now in real life, we would have taken the train into the maintenance yard at this point, but just to test it out, we're gonna put the train in neutral because we have a few minutes and troubleshoot this, see if we can get the train to stop that. It actually sounds a lot like the Keyhaw 31 or 41. I need to drive that train. I'll do the Hisatsu line one time. I'll do a video for the Hisatsu line. It's a great line. But when you move from gear 2 to gear 1, it'll go as you go into neutral. You'll see what I mean if I ever drive it. So here's hoping that worked. You can hear how angry the train is that I went into suppression. Alright, next station is Edgewood. So we're actually leaving the station right on time. We're not early at all in this instance because I wanted to mess around with the train. And although we have a clear signal indication there, it would really be a limited clear because this switch would be set for us to go back onto the main line. Well, we're on the main line, but it would be set for us to go from the number 4 to the number 3 track. So we're limited to limited speed until we clear the interlocking. Pun intended. Alright, we've cleared the interlocking. So Edgewood is at 0731, but we can leave as early as 0726. And so yeah, the problems continue. Some notches sound realistic, others don't. I went for a really fast acceleration this time to see if that could fix it. And now notch 7 sounds like notch 4. notch 8. Now N4 sounds like N8. N3 and N2 are good. N1 sounds like N4. Idle still sounds like idle though. Alright, so again, same as before. I can't see that approach limited because I don't have a cab signal, and the track monitor is not a real thing. So we're not going to pay attention to that yet. So at this point, I'm running out of options for getting the sound to work right. So this is a glitch that we're most likely going to have to exit the simulator for, but because of the way that I record videos, you shouldn't be able to tell, so this should not affect our video at all. Alright, take a look up at the signal bridge right above us, and we got an approach limited, so we're going to now slow to 45 miles an hour. Figured it's probably more efficient to use the dynamics. So this is for gun-pow interlocking. The track 3 and track 4 go into the number 2 track at this point. There are only 2 tracks over the Gunpowder River. Is a limited clear. So we're going to maintain 45 until we clear the interlocking. Then we're going to go up to glitch 8. I have the capability to do that. Maybe whenever the thing screws up, we'll just change the throttle from N2 to G2. That way you know it's glitched. So over there is the CSX Philadelphia sub. You can actually see the unrealistic catenary posts out the left window. And the sun is coming up over the Chesapeake Bay. Actually, scratch that. I don't think you can see the bay from this point. There are some spots in the Chesapeake Bay that are so wide that you can see horizon to horizon. So in other words, if you're watching a sunrise, it'll look like the sunrise over the ocean, except the waves are a little bit smaller. And then there are other places like this area. It generally gets wider the further south you go, because more and more rivers flow into it. And it used to be the Susquehanna River going all the way out into the ocean. And it used to go even further. It used to go all the way out to the continental shelf and flow into, I think it's the Baltimore Canyon. You can see it. So yeah, at this point, I'm trying everything I got now. Just throwing the throttle and idle and then up to notch 8 and then back down again. It's not working, so we're going to have to exit the simulation. Well, that is quite an earsonomy. Quickly approaching Edgewood Station. simulator's reloaded. Hopefully that fixed the problem. Departure is at 07:26, which is in about 10 seconds. So we're just about ready. Early now. The earliest time that we can leave Aberdeen is at 07:40. Looked it up. Susquehanna River used to flow through the Norfolk Canyon. If you look, it's basically a right-hand turn off the southern reaches of the Chesapeake Bay. And speaking of the Chesapeake Bay, it's that way. We're now over the Bush River. That's it. We've made it to Notch 8. No sound problems. Glitch alleviated. quickly, so once again, we're going to have to use train brakes. But I'll let you guys in on a little secret. The braking and acceleration in this train is not quite realistic. It's this fast. At least the acceleration is that fast, but you have to be in notch 8 for it to be that fast. The braking is not this fast. But for a 2002 game, you gotta respect it. We're allowed to leave is 07:35, which is about 10 seconds from now. Next stop is Perryville, 07:51. Because that's the last station, we're discharging only. And yeah, as soon as we stop, we'll be finished. I think what I will do though is after the train arrives at the station, because of that glitch, maybe we'll treat the glitch as real or something. We'll take the train out of service. We'll drive it up to the MARC layup yard trackage, where we were after coming out of there on the first run going southbound. I've seen MARC trains do that we won't do today is cut over left all the way in preparation for a southbound run. But we're not going to do that because we're going to take this train out of service. And 3 miles will be at the foot of the Susquehanna River Bridge, and at that point it will be time to start slowing down for Perryville. Also note, the sky is still unrealistically yellow, even though the sun rose about an hour ago. That's just the default train simulator. Also, the sun is like 15 degrees wide. That's just how Train Simulator was in default. You can edit the files if you're a route creator. The Norwegian VBSR 5 route does that, and they did a nice job. It looks beautiful. I'll do some trips on there as well. All right, clear signal coming into Grace Interlocking, and we'll be out over the river. Signal. That's beautiful. Now that glitching hill over there is Turkey Point. There's a lot of interesting geology over there. Despite the fact that it's on the eastern shore of Maryland, the Delmarva Peninsula, it's not like the rest of the peninsula. It's crystalline and it's high. It's a high hill. Anybody who's been on the Delmarva Peninsula knows that it's flat, completely flat, not a single hill. The highest point on it is 90 feet, and on Turkey Point it's about 300 feet. It's got outwash from the Susquehanna River, as well as an old volcano coming into Perryville now. So about a minute ago, when I said, "Wow, that's beautiful," you know, looking at the bridges, that piece of land separating the two rivers is an island. They come back together again. It's called Garrett Island, and it used to be a volcano. The volcano is about as old as the river is, so as the volcano grew up, the river cut it down. So why a volcano decided to appear in the middle of a river beats me, but I think it's cool as hell. Okay, Perryville, Maryland. Last stop, and I believe we are full 10 minutes early. Yes, we are 10 minutes early. So that's it. This service is now terminating. Do the modern day Train Simulator New York to New Haven route, you'll know that when trains from Washington to New York terminate, they run them around the Sunnyside balloon to switch their directions. So we're going to do the equivalent of that. We're going to go up to the MARC layover here. Track is 60, but we won't have time to reach that before we need to start addressing the 15. reason my mind is wandering, I just totally missed that this is a 15. Probably would have survived that, although probably would have damaged the track a little bit. It's always a nice thing to not break your broken train even more. This is kind of a mixed-use area. The tracks off to the right sort of address there's a quarry, a sand and gravel quarry here, picking up deposits from Furnace Bay and its confluence with Principio Creek. Furnace Bay is a sub bay, if you will, to the Chesapeake Bay. We're basically right over top of the head right now. So what we'll do is we'll stop the train at the end of the siding and then have the maintenance crews take a look at it. Okay, that's it. The entire MARC Penn Line northbound, Washington to Perryville, except we didn't stop at